Well, hello everybody. I'm Dakian. It's Monday, the 12th of June, 2017, and I have yet another update on finished models. And what I've gotten done this past week is all in the Achtung Cthulhu range. It's all allies. And I'm going to start you off by showing you these 6, which are kind of a set. They're called Badger's Commandos. And in the sort of boxed set that I got, there were 2 blisters of these, 2 identical blisters. So this is why I'm showing you one. I don't have to turn them around for you. I can show you one front view and one back view of each mini. And these 4 are the ones, possibly the most normal ones. They have, they're supposed to look like how British commandos actually looked during the war. That is, they have these light brown pants, they have the camo jackets, and the red berets. Of course, they have some sort of fantasy high-tech weapons, but, you know, that's another matter. And I've been experimenting with a simple way to do camo, which is simply that the jackets are actually just painted the same way as the pants to begin with. They're highlighted up, but they're not shaded as much. I keep them pretty light, and instead I just went in with washes of different colors in patches. So there's 2 different greens, a dark brown or a deep red, to create these camo patches. And it you know, if you look too closely, it doesn't really look like how camo should look, but you know, at a distance it gives a kind of impressionistic idea of something similar. And again, for the tabletop, I think it works. For these guys with the kilts, I actually tried my hand at painting some sort of tartan pattern on the kilts. Don't know if you can tell, but it is a green and purple pattern with some blue and white stripes. Maybe I should turn them like this so you can see it better. And it is decidedly not perfect. There's lots of little mistakes in it, and now that I'm looking at it, I see that I missed with the matte varnish. This guy's kilt looks way too glossy. I'm gonna have to go in and fix that with some brush-on varnish after I finish filming this. But, you know, again, for a first attempt, I'm sort of pleased with it. The other thing I didn't really get across is the beard. Maybe this one is a bit better, but yeah, the beards and hair on these guys, they were supposed to have a slightly red tinge as well. I didn't quite make it. I think they look just too brown, but oh well. Anyway, that was the commandos. Now for the next batch of 6. First I'm showing you these 3, they're called Pathfinder Demon Hunters or something, which are clearly supposed to be Native Americans for whatever reason. So I painted them with slightly darker skin tones, like tomahawks. Oops. And, well, not a whole lot to say about them, really. The tricky part here was the feathers. Feathers are always a pain to paint because they have detail, but it's always very shallow in the casting, and it's hard to get them to stand out, to separate the feathers from each other. But, you know, I made an attempt. And the final for today are these hero characters. Now, I believe these are named NPCs in the fluff, in the fiction for Achtung Cthulhu. I don't recall their names. possibly because I don't feel that sort of thing is very important. I don't like including hero NPCs in my campaigns, because the tendency is for them to upstage the player characters, and that is bad form. That's bad GMing. If you have NPCs that do the work that your players are supposed to do. But anyway, this guy is clearly a spell user of some sort. I've painted the pages of his book just with a lot of weird shapes, and supposed to indicate runes or alien script or something, not lines of normal text, which is what I usually do. And he's holding the severed head of some sort of being. Maybe he's casting a spell. This lady has a strange entity coming out of her back, and again, in the fiction, she has some amount of control over it, though not a lot. And finally, we have the gruff tentacle monster slaying, cigar chomping, probably a sergeant. Yeah, and in non-regulation colors. I don't think anybody had blue pants, but I wanted some variety, and I had that blue left over from painting the other two characters, so he probably doesn't care. Anyway, that is a grand total of 12 minis painted, and not too shabbily. Okay, doing a little bit of a time warp here. I'm filming this way before Monday, actually, because I wanted to show you a bit of the process of assembly here. Now, the first thing I noticed when starting to assemble them is that this picture on the cover is mirror imaged. It's flipped because, for example, this guy, you can see he's the wrong way around. Also, this guy, he's pointing with his right hand, and it's the left hand in the image. But otherwise, mostly, I was concerned before I opened the baggies about all these little sprues with heads and hands, but they are actually mostly the same. There's a few different ones, but mostly they have a sort of tongue, head, and two hands. And there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those, which fits most of the minis, where you just put the tongue in here and the hands. There's 3 different sculpts that work with that. There's these 2, which I have 2 each of, and there's this one. Finally, I'm going to have to use one of those sprues for this guy, even though in the picture, if you can tell, he doesn't really have the clawed hands. What looks like he has stumps of hands here, which look like if you took these clawed hands and trimmed away the claws. Yeah, I'm not sure if I want to do that. I'll have to think about it for a little bit. And oh yeah, on one of the sprues, the tip of this tongue has been broken off. I guess I'll use it for this one. The different ones are there's 2 guys, same sculpt here, with one arm already attached and with a hand, so they go with this sprue, which has a hand with the left arm and also more of the head, and there's a peg there which goes with that hole. All the others are simply flat here, and there's a flat socket you insert them into. But again, the 2 MP40 carrying NCOs are different. Again, they already this one has both arms already, so one of these separate heads clearly and goes with that, and they're slightly different. They look a little bit different. There's another one for the other guy, and this one also has some sort of, oh, if you can tell, there's a little bit extra, like a strange sword, a saber or something, which I'm not sure if it's in the, yeah, you can see he has it on his belt there. So that goes with, let me see, this guy. And also, of course, this arm. The submachine gun has to go on there. And as you can see, I've started to put the grid on here. Anyway, just a little glimpse into how these miniatures get put together. And here we see them fully assembled and primed, and I've base coated and dry brushed the bases. Now, turns out attaching the heads was generally very easy. The little hands were tricky. I'm not sure about how strong the bond is going to be because the connection points are not that large, but they are there, all of them. And I decided to go with the stubby hands. I clipped off the claws on this guy, the same as in the cover picture. And my rationale is this: it seems very much like this being is coming out of the person, like the person is simply an incubator for the monster. The monster is being born out of the human, and it's going to discard the human body. So it wouldn't make sense for the human host body to have fully developed claws. The creature coming out here would have the claws. And so I just made, little stubby hands out of that. Of course, these two are slightly different. They seem to be, these two guys, they have better clothing. They seem to be less monstrous because they can use guns. They have more intelligence. And they've been painted a different way on the cover of the box. These are more greenish, while these others are more pinkish. So we'll see if I follow that. Anyway, they are well on the way. So looking at what's left to paint of the minis, we have here the Black Sun Troopers, which look much simpler to paint because they're basically just all black. And there's a more simple construction than the Nyarlathotep Hotep guys, because as you can see here, the bodies, they already all have the heads on them. Some of them even, this guy here is a one-piece. He has both his arms and the gun already molded on. Most of them are missing one or two arms, and so this baggie has the arms with guns. So, yeah, easier assembly than the previous batch. I think they will be. And the rest, I have 3 smaller blisters here, 2 with Nazis. Here we have, well, these guys are the Black Sun officers. Here we have the Nachtwölfe leaders. There are no rank and file Nachtwölfe soldiers available to buy, which I feel is a big oversight, especially since I'm running a campaign where the Nachtwölfe will be the main villains. So I would have liked to see more of these guys, but oh well. And here we have the Investigators Pack 2. As you can see, I've already opened this once to take a look at the contents, and I took out the foam and the card, threw it away. So these are some more allies, which, again, 2 guys and a girl, just like in the previous pack. But yeah, I think these guys are up next. And after that, the remaining 9. That's my plan. what's this? I thought I said I was done with the cultists. Well, they're not actually cultists. Well, they're sort of. This is the latest Kickstarter from Blind Beggar Miniatures that I backed, and it is for actual deep ones. So while they're wearing some sort of cultist robes, these are in fact not humans at all. These are fully grown, fully developed deep ones. They're just dressed for some reason. At least these three are. And here's another one, a couple that look more like hybrids, unfortunately. And here's a sprue with extra weapons. And here we have, again, this is the same child deep one that I've already painted up before. I got an extra copy for some reason in this Kickstarter. And again, these are wielding weapons and they look more human, so I don't know. I'd say these five look like fully grown, developed deep ones, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 others that are not quite. So, oh well. I thought I was done with the cultists. They keep pulling me back in. I'm unsure who's going to use these weapons. Okay, this guy, he looks like he's might be supposed to be holding a rifle or something and resting it on the ground, but gluing something in place there would be difficult. And the others already have guns or can't actually hold any, so I guess this sprue is going to be mostly extra bits. A lot of Tom guns and a Lewis, 3 Tommy guns and a Lewis gun. I mean, that's okay. That's useful in some cases, perhaps. Anyway, so that's 11 more minis added to my pile, and I am done for this week. Hope you had fun watching this episode. Click like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you next week. Until then, I'm Dakian, and I'm signing.